Hello and welcome. A lot of media is talking about ChatGPT, OpenAI, and the future that we have in tech. What we're here to do today is to understand, does any of that have anything to do with our elders, seniors, and people who support them? I'm so thrilled that I've got Laurie Orlov today to help us have that conversation and guide us through what we can do. Laurie Orlov is the founder of Aging and Health Technology Watch in Florida. We're thrilled to have you on the channel today. Thank you so much for joining us, Laurie. I'll have you introduce yourself.
Okay, that's great. So I've been in this space now since 2009. Prior to that, I was in the IT world and I was an industry analyst about IT-related topics. But since 2009, when I began blogging about technology for older adults, I began writing research reports. I've written at least 2 a year, every year since 2009. And the purpose of what I do is to help segment and identify market participants in the technology market that wishes to serve older adults. So it's really about the business of technology for older adults. And so all the material I publish has that in mind when I write it. Okay, so it's not intended necessarily for consumption by consumers directly. However, a lot of it is very relevant to consumers that may be worth consumption. So that's what I have to say about that. You want to get started with this topic?
Yeah, absolutely. But before we do, Laurie, here at Viva Valley, we're huge fans of you and we're huge fans of your research. Just for our watchers and our audience, if anyone wants to learn more about age technology and healthcare watch, how do we find out more about it? How do we get a hold of your site?
So the website is a little complicated to say. It's ageinplacetech.com. The reason it says Age in Place is because when I originally started this, I called it Aging in Place Technology Watch. And I realized that there was a major overlap between technology offerings for older adults, technology offerings in healthcare. In fact, if it was a Venn diagram, it's a big overlapping oval. And so I renamed it a couple of years ago, Aging and Health Technology Watch. I did not rename the website because that's very hard to do when you're already everywhere on the internet. So I chose not to do that.
So we'll make sure that we tag it when we share this. So we tag you, we tag the website as well, because you have an incredible blog that has prolific information that's always really interesting related to aging in place, and technology, which we really love. So we'll be sure to share that. And also we'll be sure to share something that you've recently published. In fact, your latest white paper, which is really what we want to talk to you about. And it's about ChatGPT and OpenAI for seniors. So, and we'll make sure that we put links to that in our channels. So Laurie, there's a lot of discussion about OpenAI, ChatGPT, it's taking over the world, et cetera. And there's a lot of fear mongering, I have to say. Can you just, in very simple, even non-technical language, explain to us what is this thing called ChatGPT OpenAI?
So OpenAI is the organization that has introduced the tool ChatGPT out to the world. They're extremely well funded by Microsoft and other venture capitalists and investors. But they were pretty stealth until November of 2022, when suddenly they emerged as providing what turned out to be something called conversational AI, which is really what ChatGPT does. So if you compare ChatGPT, and if you haven't tried it, you should consider trying it. Downloading it as an app on your phone or giving it a try. But if you haven't tried it, you'll notice a distinct difference between that and searching. First of all, these days, searching, for the most part, is an ad proliferated experience. When you do a search, often the first companies and entities that come up in response to your search, you'll see in little tiny letters, it'll say ad sponsored, ad sponsored, ad sponsored. This technology is basically waiting to hear what your question is in plain English text, although I'm sure it'll be translated at some point in every language in the world, waits to hear your question and then types back or soon speaks back to you an answer in, I guess I would say, from my experience, it seems to be in English. It answers the question in some detail with references. Now, if I ask for a precise answer and I ask a question about what are the ways to mitigate, and I put this in the report, stiffness in your back, I get precise answers that are about stiffness in your back. When people start asking vague questions, ChatGPT and the other one, Bing Chat, which is really built on ChatGPT, and probably many more now are built around it. The idea of it coming up with hallucinations or vague answers that are not necessarily accurate has been well promoted in the media as a scary thing and why we shouldn't use it. I would say we should use it for precise questions that are specific, where we're looking for information that we know it has. And since OpenAI, the organization, and ChatGPT basically inherited the whole knowledge base of everything available on the internet through 2021 and being incorporated in 2022, a lot of very specific questions can be answered. And they can be answered in English. And I say English as the language of the person who asked the question. If it's another language, it's another language. But not just answered. Permitting a follow-up question, remembering the context of what you asked, allowing for another follow-up question that are all specific to the topic. And the back stiffness one is a good example of that, or how to install Wi-Fi in your house, another good example of that. These are specific questions that have actual answers that can be retrieved that are accurate. How to install Wi-Fi in your house. There's not that many gazillion ways to do that. How to address stiffness in your back. There are not that many medical solutions to that, although I only showed a couple in the report. It's not an opportunity for hallucination. It is what it is. And I think that's the way people should think of it. It's an improvement to accessing information and following up with more questions, because we don't know what questions to ask often. We have a topic and we just want to answer.
So this is really exciting. Thank you for walking me through it and walking all of us through it. And if I really consolidate it, it's the difference between doing a Google search where you get a bunch of websites or asking a question and actually getting an answer, not just a list of websites that you could read through and then you have to further curate. So that's really fascinating. And as the founder of Age Tech, and really I'm sorry, Aging and Health Technology Watch. So as you really understanding this kind of intersection between tech and the elderly, how can our seniors, our olders, the elderly be supported by a tool like ChatGPT?
Well, question and answers that I just described are pretty useful, especially when you say, I want the response to be precise. And it gives you that option. You can ask for vague responses, but you can ask for precision. When you get down into the questions around healthcare or access to services or products that could be useful, the answers are all specific. It's not like they're general answers. And I found that it's able to understand questions about senior living, housing, products, and opportunities for older adults that are all well-known answers to questions that you would find if you search through Google, but that will actually allow you for a follow-up, more specific answer. Now, because of all the panic in the media, the qualifications on these answers are getting more noticeable. It's like, but now you need to check with your doctor, or don't forget to call your doctor. You're getting that kind of response. But let's just say, if you're asking for the symptoms, for example, of back stiffness, you don't need to call your doctor right away. It'd be good to know what the symptoms are and what the possible solutions to the problem are. And that's, I think, excellent for older people, and saves, especially when the questions you have might be embarrassing if you communicated them to your doctor or to your son-in-law or to whoever it happens to be. The questions might be embarrassing. But the wonderful thing about technology is it's impossible to embarrass it.
So exciting. I think you've already answered my next question because, we were asking how could seniors use this, but also adult children in order to support seniors. That's also another way that we could apply. Is there any difference in how an adult child would use this than a senior, for example?
Well, if they're trying to solve a specific problem they have with an elderly family member, their questions might be a little bit different. One of the questions that a lot of adult children have at some point in the life of dealing with an older person is the question of housing. Now, most likely, older people themselves are not going to say, I'm searching for a senior living community in the following geography of where my son is or where my daughter is, or they're not going to ask that question. The adult child's going to ask. The other thing is, if an older person is having a particular mobility issue, odds are they might not directly ask about mobility solutions, but if their family members might ask. So that's in a sense one difference. Also, the level of urgency. Sometimes adult children feel that the situation is more urgent than the older person does, and so they're going to be quite specific in their questions and looking for help.
Very cool, and thank you for that. I would also ask, given we talked about the benefits and what it is, are there any watchouts or risks that a senior or even an adult child would need to be really watching out for when they're using a tool like ChatGPT?
Well, the main thing is to the degree that you wander away from specific questions, ChatGPT will always give an answer. The answer actually might be incorrect. One of the questions that people keep wanting to ask ChatGPT is about themselves. So they ask biographical questions about themselves, and then they get answers back that are not about their biography, they're about somebody else's biography. This kind of thing is silly. There's no reason that we should be querying a tool like that for biographical questions about ourselves. It's pointless. However, you can find incorrect answers, which everyone seems to want to write about on the internet. And so I would say there's an opportunity for skepticism about what you read. The media is in the business of having people click on websites and read the media. That's what they do. And so if there's a way to get attention, but it's not going to stop the growth of this industry. This industry is the first major technological breakthrough since the introduction of web browsers' access to the internet. Voice was a big deal, but web browsers actually were a bigger deal. They gave us all access to the internet. And what this is giving us is access to knowledge, which we want.
Yeah, it's exactly, it's the knowledge. It's not the tool, it's the knowledge, it's the peace of mind, it's the answer instead of having to sort through so much. So that I find really, really exciting. So thanks for that. So I guess so in terms of risks to be aware of, don't do biographical information on yourself. Check, noted. And I think you'd said earlier, if there's something that could be driving you towards a diagnostic kind of process or something that's health behavior, health-seeking behavior, or diagnostic behavior, health treatments, make sure that you have that verified with a healthcare professional if you're having an answer from ChatGPT. But ChatGPT can also offer you options that you didn't know. But make sure that you have those vetted by a healthcare professional. Awesome. I guess, I'm really excited about this, and I'm hoping that our listeners and our viewers, our audience is also excited about ChatGPT. What would be the first steps if I wanted to create an account or get started? How would you recommend that we get started with ChatGPT today?
Well, you can go to openai.org or whatever it is, and you can sign up to have ChatGPT access, assuming maybe you want to interact through a web browser on a PC. I believe you can download an app. You can also access essentially the same technology through Microsoft's search engine called Bing. And so you could do a Bing search, or you can access this kind of question in Bing. And probably there's about 500 other ways to access it now, because everybody and his mother has created an app, and their mother created an app. And so there's if you go to the App Store, whether it's Google Play or whether it's the iOS App Store, you go to the App Store and you say something like ChatGPT, and app will be shown to you. So Gartner created many years ago, they created this concept called the Gartner hype cycle. And we're in that right now with AI, conversational AI and generative AI, with the two categories of AI that seem to have been most exciting. So we're in the hype cycle, and the hype is going like this. And the media is really trying to cause it to deflect and not look as exciting as it is. Too bad, too late. It's already that exciting. Now, what happens with the Gartner hype cycle is eventually all of this type of technology, including all the various flavors of artificial intelligence, become incorporated into technologies we use all the time. Voice is a good example of that. It was once very exciting to be able to speak to a computer and get an answer. Now we assume we can speak to a computer and get an answer. So this will be like that. It'll eventually be incorporated in day life. The concepts. So what AI is built on is data. And what ChatGPT did was inherit a ton, actually almost all, of data through 2021. They inherited that into the product. Data updating of data sources for these tools is going to continue. It will be the latest information at some point for all of the methods of interacting. And we will benefit from that because maybe what we can do with it is ask a follow-up question. And then we can ask another follow-up question. That's the breakthrough.
It's fantastic. I think for seniors, it's a huge, huge breakthrough. For everyone, it is, especially for seniors, for our olders, because again, they don't have to waste that time on having so many search engine results on just web pages. They're actually getting answers. So we also join you in our enthusiasm and excitement for what this can offer in terms of giving new options, giving synthesis, giving curation of Q&A that you may have that could be health related, could be life course related, could be anything, and could be an opportunity to even explore with your own creativity, like you say, with generated AI, where you can explore the world of design and architecture and things. So I see it as a real excitement. Thank you also for kind of taking away any of the fear mongering. This isn't taking away jobs. This is augmenting jobs. This is augmenting human capacity and human capability. It's actually allowing us to focus on the stuff that's the coolest and the most interesting stuff that we want to do. So thank you for also helping us allay those fears. We know that I was going to ask, like, if we want to learn more about it and how it can be applied to support seniors and senior living. Do you have any resources? And I know that you have a big one that you've just published. So you want to share about that again?
Yes, I wrote a report called it's called The Future of AI in Older Adults, and it's on my website. It's free to everybody. The subtitle is Conversations Built on Data, which is what I just described to you, Conversations Built on Data. And one of the most exciting aspects of it that was not dealt with much in the report, but now I'm starting to read more and more about it, is the role of AI technology in healthcare. And the doctors are getting excited about it. Already first books have been written about the topic with the perspective of doctors and how it's going to help them immensely, whether it involves providing clearer and lengthier responses to questions that patients may have, or whether it provides support information for a doctor, whether it's about medications or about treatments. Doctors cannot know everything. Secretly, they know that. And they're excited themselves to see an opportunity of being supported by a technology that has access to basically everything.
And again, I join you in that enthusiasm around AI in healthcare decision making, in guiding treatment decisions, and I think a lot of the opportunity there is in diagnostics, so that there's now new forms of digital diagnostics. Finding ways to, move into linking patients into potential clinical trials where they could join them based on where they link from the diagnostic, which could be AI assisted, and then AI is also finding treatments that could fit, for example, the mutation if it's a cancer, or to join a clinical trial wherever that's happening. So there's so much that's out there. So thank you for writing this report. Thank you for getting out there. We'll include the link to that here. We also have a variety of upcoming courses that they're doing in the community in Arlington Heights, in Chicago. So we'll be sharing this, of course, as a part of that course, supporting our olders and seniors in Arlington Heights specifically with learning how to use some of the technology, and maybe even we could add ChatGPT as a part of that curriculum. So really exciting. I'm sure there's lots of questions around that. That's next Friday. So we're really excited to be able to support them with this. And we're so excited again. Thank you for putting this piece of research out there, Laurie. Incredible. Thank you for joining us today in the Viva Valet YouTube channel. It's always a thrill to talk to you, Laurie. Every time I talk to you, I learn something new. Thank you for being a part of the journey with Viva Valet and supporting our olders.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.